What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be starting a video series on mobile development using Microsoft's Xamarin. Xamarin is extremely exciting to me because it's a user-friendly way to create applications for both Android and iOS. In fact, by the end of this video, you'll be able to create a cross-platform application for Android and iOS that uses a shared code base for both applications. Xamarin works by compiling the shared code base into the Android and iOS native UIs. Xamarin is built on the Mono runtime environment, which is a version of the .NET framework. So your Xamarin applications are coded in C# and XAML, but then invoke Objective-C, Java, C, and C++ libraries, giving you the flexibility to bind to them natively. There are several advantages to developing apps in this manner. First of all, since Xamarin compiles into these languages, the majority of code is shared between the Android and iOS versions of your application. Also, since Xamarin compiles into the native assemblies for Android and iOS, your applications won't suffer from the same performance limitations as web-based applications. Finally, Xamarin's extensive tooling allows you to access many helpful native device features like text-to-speech and the accelerometer. So let's jump right in to how to use Xamarin to make your first cross-platform application. To get started, let's make sure that we have the mobile development with .NET package installed to Visual Studio. Launch Visual Studio, click Modify, and ensure that you downloaded the mobile development with .NET package. With Visual Studio up and running, we'll create a new project using the mobile app with Xamarin.Forms template. We'll call it our awesome app. We'll use the blank template so we get a good idea of how the components work together. Right away, you'll notice that Visual Studio generates 3 projects in the solution. The first project has the same name as the solution and contains all of the shared code for your application. The next 2 projects are the Android and iOS versions respectively. Both of these projects depend on the main project by calling Xamarin.Forms.Forms.init in their respective main functions. You'll notice that the Android version calls forms.forms.init in mainActivity.cs within the onCreate method, whereas the iOS version has a file called appdelegate.cs containing finish launching, where forms.forms.init is called. However, we won't have to mess with either of these files unless we have features in the application that are specific to Android or iOS. To edit the shared user interface that's called in these files, we'll navigate back over to our shared code project and find mainpage.xaml and its backing file, mainpage.xaml.c#. To demonstrate Xamarin's basic functionality, I'm going to show you how to create the app that's described on Microsoft Xamarin's Get Started page. I'll be creating more Xamarin tutorials in the future, but I highly suggest you read docs.microsoft.com for a plethora of help and information on app development in Visual Studio, which is an incredibly well-documented and well-supported application. But anyways, to get started with how to build the application, it is simply a button that tells you how many times you've clicked it. So, in the front end here, mainpage.xaml, we can use the toolbox to add in a control in a drag and drop fashion. We'll simply add a button to the bottom of the stack layout. It appears in the previewer and we can set some text for it. And then we can use the clicked keyword to connect it to an event handler. Now going into the mainpage.xaml.c# file, we're going to define the behavior. All we need for this is an integer counter and the button clicked method that we just referenced over here. Inside this, we'll iterate the count up by 1 and set the text of the button to say that you have clicked count times. So now you're probably wondering how we're going to go about deploying and debugging this, and really it's quite simple. We'll navigate over to the Solution Explorer and choose either the Android or iOS projects to be the startup project. Keep in mind that you can't use the shared code as a startup project because it's not a native application for any operating system. So once we've either plugged in a physical device or set up an emulator for the operating system that we intend to deploy to, we can simply start up the application in the default configuration. Application's loaded up. We can click 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. So by now you've learned how to use the Xamarin.Forms template, and if you have a little bit of familiarity with C# and markup languages, then you'll be able to jump in and create your own user interface in XAML and C#. Finally, in this video I've shown you how to deploy to a device for debugging, so I hope that this is helpful and you guys can get out there and make some awesome applications. Good luck and happy coding. Thanks for watching. Please drop a like, comment, and a subscription. See you in the next video.